What up, Global Studies? I feel like I am in the Blair Witch Project. Where are my kids? Oh, they're sleeping. Oh, I don't know if I can take this anymore. Oh, where'd they go? Just kidding. Hey, at least I have you guys, right? Alright, so welcome to our Week 3 quarantined edition of Mr. Mead's class. So I do appreciate all of you who have been following along. I received over 90 emails today with either you or your parents responding to my email. So that is overwhelming, and I appreciate that, a large majority of my class is following along and letting me know that you are. So first thing that we're going to... Oh, yeah, I still got this bad boy too, by the way. It's getting longer. I did just shave tonight too, and as you can see, I got the fresh do. Whoop whoop. I will say, without barbers around, I am so glad I cut my own hair, because I went from just guys out there, girls, if you want to shave your head too, I'll give you a little chip. So I talked to a barber, right? And I was like, how do you get your hair cut so you don't have those lines? When you do it yourself, you have especially if you use a different guard, like you guys who cut your own hair, you know what I'm talking about. Or people, sorry. And I know girls, you cut your own hair too sometimes, but, so you start on top, alright? If you're going to do a buzz cut like this fashionable gentleman in front of you, what you do is you start on top. You take your layer on top and you cut it down to where you want it, right? And then you go up to it and then you blend that stuff. So I had a mirror in my garage. I got it in my storage unit. That's why you have a storage unit. You put all the crap you don't think you'll ever need, and you pay like $40 a month or $100 a month. I don't even know what we pay. And then one day you're like, I have a mirror in there. Let's go get it. And then I sit out in my garage and I cut my own hair. But I also cut my boys' hair too, so totally worth it, by the way. Anyway, cut from the top down, higher to lower. Faded this bad boy from a 0.5 all the way up to a 1.5. I like it. I like it a lot. And it's very cool today on an 80-degree day. So, back to business. Alright, so what we have for you for enrichment, remember this is not graded, but you can still submit it to Canvas. All up to you. Or at least, at the very minimum, I would suggest that you read through these articles, understand what they're trying to put out, and then test your knowledge. I think a lot of our course is reading material and being able to put things into our own words and get our own definitions out of it. So what I want you to do is actually be able to read these articles and say, this is what's going on in the world. These are the facts they're finding out. Well, put it into my own brain and figure this stuff out for myself. So, the hyperdoc that I have for you, and all you all know, and this looks a lot very similar to our coronavirus hyperdoc, but it's changed slightly. So the New York Times articles, they are free, and they are listed below. And what we're going to do here is we are going to, and I screwed up because I have not put the links to the articles in here yet, but there's 2 articles. So read through those. What it does is it's correlating air pollution to the increased number of deaths, right? And so my first question for you guys is, if air pollution is causing sickness, and we know that that is a contributing factor and a high contributing factor to this disease and why people are dying. So the cities that have higher air population problems are actually dying at higher rates. And there's a whole smorgasbord of things that will probably go along with air pollution. But I'll put those links in. I screwed up. And I also fixed my create here for all of our... There we go. But the first one is, if air pollution causes sickness and even death, why do governments around the world allow companies to pollute? First and foremost. I mean, we have the EPA. They go around and they fine people for polluting the environment. But at the same time, there's a lot of companies in the U.S. that do it. And there's a ton of companies that outsource overseas that do it because then they don't have to worry about it. And then after reading both articles, what I want you to do is come up with your own question. Come up with your own question. You type it in this green section, and then you type your answer to the right. Okay? Where these awesome, cool arrows are pointing. Also, we have our interactive map of confirmed corona cases, okay, which I think, if my dumb brain just repeated this. So what you're going to do is, so this is the one we used in class. the COVID-19 deaths, right? And this is the same map I linked twice on this darn thing, so my bad. We have two of the same things on this. What we have is, I think we left school, we had, 100 and some thousand cases, and just in the 3.5, 4 weeks that we've been gone, we're up to 1.4 million across the globe. So this is what happens in a pandemic, right? It's craziness. But at the same time, what's cool, I wish I would have linked these New York Times articles, but what's cool is and I might do that right now, so I might pause this video. And we're back. Alright, so, as you can see, I've added these links. So what's cool about, I think at least one of these articles is interactive, right? So it shows, like, so it just talks about the Washington Post, also shows, like, nationwide study. The cool thing right now, guys, if there's any bright side of this whole apocalypse we're running through, is that everything is free. Like, dear Lord, everything is free. So, like, New York, San Francisco, New Delhi. How that compares to all this stuff. I mean, the things that people are doing around the globe are insane. Now, this is the interactive one. This one's kind of cool. So, it'll probably track where you're at. It'll ask for a cookie or something. But floating particles, air quality. I think where we're at, we're in the green zone. We're pretty rural. We're out there, right? So this is the pollution in Iowa City. So this is like floating around us here. So particulate concerns reach 42 parts per million, kajillion, whatever. During the highest hour, the level would be considered unhealthy for sensitive groups. So that's this guy here. So find your city, right? So you can find your city. So this is the pollution in Iowa City on the worst air quality day of the year. So it's usually probably during harvest where we have a ton of like dust and particulate in the air because we are an agricultural state. So when you look up and you see the orange moon at night, for example, especially during harvest, that is all that dust that's in the air that's refracting that light, reflecting it all over the place and causing the lowest wave light emissions to come through, and that's usually your oranges and your reds. And so that's why we see an orange moon. So when we see that, there's probably a higher concentration of dust in the air, which is not good for our lungs. Compare that to the thickest, unhealthiest, and this is cool because as you scroll through this document, see how it changes. So we have good air quality, right? And good air quality is this. Like, these are the bad things floating around, smacking us in the face every 20 seconds on the hour. And as we get to Iowa City's worst day, right, we have this. Now, I would be, if we say like, I don't know what a good city is, like Lincoln, Montana, maybe. Somewhere in Montana. Let's find MT here. Montana. How many Montanas? Shoot, I don't know. What's that? Nebraska? Nebraska's a pretty state, right? Sorry for all you Nebraska fans. Yeah, see, they're worse than us. But there's towns in very rural areas. We'll go back to Iowa City. What about Ames? Yeah, Ames is the same. Back to Iowa City. Boop. See, I can flick back and forth. So we're like kind of in that like range on the worst day of the year, which is concerning. Like, I mean, we're not a very pollutant city, and we're pretty aware of what we're doing. But then as we scroll down to unhealthiness, like look at that throughout. It's scary a little bit. Sorry for anyone who has any sort of anxiety about this. But as we see here too, throughout the year. Just look at this stuff. It's crazy. It's craziness. So that's why I really like this article, and Mr. White's did a good job of finding this and putting it together. But I mean, this is our average. We're in the green most of the year. We got lots of pollen and things in July when the corn's tasseling. August, September, we're harvesting in the fields, tilling up soil in March. I'm wondering why this is so bad here in December, January, February, but I'm not gonna argue with statistics at all. So just read through that article. Read through both those articles. The interactive ones are really neat. Answer this question. This is opinion based too. There's not a right or wrong answer. I want your thoughts on it. I want to hear what you have to say. And like, I enjoy sitting here and looking through this with you guys. And then the interactive map is that I actually posted this twice, so this one can actually be deleted. But how's Iowa doing, right? How's Iowa doing with COVID cases? This one shows the number of beds, the peak interest. So here we have April 30th as our deadline to come back to school, and I think the 26th is what we're predicting for the peak impact. So we're sitting right here, the 7th, 8th. So our uptick really in Iowa is projected to be on the 26th of April, based upon this CDC website, right? So who knows? By the time we get back to levels where we're at now, we'll be looking at May 12th. By the time it's under control, May 17th. So hopefully we'll see you again back at school. Now, what this chart says is all beds available medically, like in the hospitals, all beds needed, projected, and ICU beds available. So if we hit the peak without social distancing, that's what it's going to be, right? So that's what we don't want. Right now, our projection looks like we're doing an okay job. This is the projection that it could be. This is our projected deaths per day with what's happening right now. So again, comparing that to the graph, beds needed on peak is 719. We have a lot more than that available. So, cross your fingers that we're doing the right thing. So again, there's a lot of resources for you just to check out. This is all about knowledge, gaining as much knowledge. You're living in global studies right now, so we're not making you do anything. Like, you don't need to read and spell out phonetically things that you're learning. I mean, this is all real life stuff, and that's what global studies is trying to teach you. So on that note, that's what we have this week to lay out for you. I will be sending out a Zoom link, and I'm going to put both the links in the email. Why? I'm going to do an AM meeting at 2 p.m. tomorrow on Zoom. And I'm going to do a 3 o'clock p.m. class meeting. So if you're before lunch, if you have me before lunch, you're going to go to the AM meeting. If you have me after lunch, you're going to go to the PM meeting. If you end up being in a PM class with your friends, whatever, all I ask you, here are my rules. You're going to be muted when you come into the Zoom meeting. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'll welcome you. I'll ask for any questions. There is a feature where you can actually raise your hand. There's a feature where you can put in emoji things like claps and thumbs up. So if you start putting those on my screen, I'll be able to see that you want to say something. And then I'll call you out and then unmute yourself and then talk. But I don't want you to talk over people. I don't want you to share the link with people who are not in my class. I don't want you to share with 8th graders who think Mr. Mead's so cool. He's so awesome. It's for us, right? So that's what I'd ask you to do. I mean, just don't abuse it, or we won't do it. I'm not going to do a whole ton of Zoom meetings. I think these videos, it seems like, are getting out to you, and you're using these resources. And like I said, we don't have anything that's graded at this point. But I do want to remind you that everything that is due before spring break will be graded. So please get that turned in. I'm not going to apply any zeros right now until I know the end date of this quarantine, and maybe then we can get with it. But once I get all the global issues essays graded, which I have through about M graded. I haven't seen them to Power School yet because I don't want anybody to get ahead of the game. But once I have a majority of those graded, I'm going to send out the Power School syncing, and then you'll see your grade in Power School. But right now, anyone who's graded, you can see it in Canvas. So I have it through H or M, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I have a large majority of the ones that are turned in. Now, I still have a lot of them that are not turned in. So please get those turned in. And then you have your Africa Extra Credit. You have your Early Humans Hyperdoc as well. And then your Chapter 14 notes. So if you don't have the notes or you can't access the Chapter 14 again online, I'll just send you the definitions, or I'll send you the worksheet, and you can define them on the internet. I think that's the easiest way to go. I'll give you your 10 points, and you'll be on your way. So, gosh, guys, I hope you're doing well. I miss you a lot, and I didn't intend for this to be 14 minutes long, but it's good to be able to speak out to you and be academically focused. Again, I miss teaching. I miss making you laugh and smile, and hopefully everything is going just fine for you. So have a great day. Go Trojans.